यदेव गमनं गन्तā स एव हि भवेद् यदि ekī-bhāvaḥ prasajyeta kartuḥ karmaṇa एव च
Tadeva gamanaṁ gantā sa eva hi bhaved yadi ekī-bhāvaḥ prasajyeta kartuḥ karmaṇa eva cha. MMK chapter 2 verse 19. For if going and goer were one and the same, the identity would follow of agent and action itself. For he, if yadi, going, gamanaṁ, and goer, gantā, were, bhaved, one and the same, so tad eva, sa eva. Tad means tad gamanaṁ, that going. So tad eva, that itself, that going itself. Tad eva gamanaṁ, that going itself. Gantā sa eva, that goer himself. Sa, him, eva, emphatic. Gantā sa eva, the goer himself. Tad eva gamanaṁ gantā sa eva hi bhaved yadi. For if going and goer were one and the same, the identity, ekī-bhāvaḥ, would follow prasajyeta of agent, kartuḥ, and of action, karmaṇa, itself eva. So karmaṇa is genitive singular of karmaṇ, karma, action, and before eva, the karmaṇa goes to karmaṇa. Karmaṇa eva, of action itself. Kartuḥ karmaṇa eva cha, of agent and cha, action itself. Tadeva gamanaṁ gantā sa eva hi bhaved yadi ekī-bhāvaḥ prasajyeta kartuḥ karmaṇa eva cha. For if going and goer were one and the same, the identity would follow of agent and action itself. So this and the following verse, verse 20, raise the question of, is it true that one becomes what one practices? And my thoughts in that regard were stimulated in practice by, I got a couple of emails over the holidays, over Christmas, from Ron Collier, my Alexander, the head of training at the Alexander School where I trained and where I taught for a number of years, over the last 20 years. So Ron Collier is one of my most important teachers, as well as being a good friend. So in these emails, he mentioned that he'd seen one or two of these videos and suggested that it would be helpful to him if I made one or two videos that were more informal. So you have to read between the lines, because Ron has always been incredibly indirect. Indirectness is one of the hallmarks of the Alexander teaching, because to go directly for the target is end-gaining. It's not skillful to go directly for the target, even if some of us tend to do that more than others. So, for example, you can see how schools develop, because Ron had a lot of experience from a lot of first-generation teachers, including Dick and Elizabeth Walker. Ron's first lesson was with Patrick MacDonald, and he trained with Walter Carrington. Now, the two main schools of Alexander teachers are Walter Carrington, who trained a lot of teachers, and Patrick MacDonald. And Marjorie Barlow, who I had lessons with, she was the first generation teacher I had lessons with, I think was romantically linked to both Walter Carrington and Patrick MacDonald. So there was some kind of rivalry there in the background. But as a broad generalisation, Patrick was probably a little bit more direct. He was a bluff Yorkshireman. And my experience of being taught by Nellie Benor was that she would let you know in the manner of a Chinese teacher, not that, no, not that, not that, not that. Whereas Ron's approach was always more indirect. So Walter would always say, if you wanted to draw attention to a pupil's fault, he would say, yes, many people tend to do this, that, and the other. So he wouldn't say you are getting it wrong. He'd make the point in general terms, so as not to excite the pupil's fear reflexes. But on the other hand, sometimes for some people, to tell them directly is the best way, not to just give it to them straight, is the best way not to excite their fear reflexes. So it's horses for courses. But I asked Marjorie Barlow about this difference in approaches to teaching. And Marjorie, predictably enough, chose a middle path. She said, well, if you don't tell people they're wrong, they'll never know. But on the other hand, if you're too direct about it, you'll make them, as FM said, like frightened rabbits caught in the headlights. So anyway, that's a preamble. So Ron was very indirectly telling me that he'd appreciate it if the videos were more informal. So what is he actually noticing? And he's probably aware of the fact that I'm scowling at the computer screen, telling everybody where they're going wrong. And so taking that on board, especially in light of these verses, what is there to practice? That's the point. Alexander work is the most incredibly practical thing there is, and Ron wouldn't draw my attention to something that I couldn't do anything about in practice. So in his second email, he referred me, again very indirectly, to a YouTube video which we both like, of Ron Murdoch talking people through the practice that Alexander called the whispered R. I'm not going to go through it in all its details. There are many instructions preparatory to doing what Alexander called the whispered R. But basically the first two, the most fundamental thing, is think up. So think up is, in short, let the neck be free, to let the head go forward and up, to let the back lengthen and widen, while sending the knees forwards and away. So informing the whole body with thought, with those four directions, can be summarised in two words: think up. So we don't want to try doing a vocal exercise when we're held in the grip of the extensor muscles of the back being hyper extended. That doesn't help the use of the voice. And neither does slumping like a sack of potatoes. So think up means direct yourself. Not like that, not like that. Think up. And then the second direction is, I think in Alexander's own words, think of something funny. Think of something funny. Ray Evans used to say, to bring a smile behind the eyes. So a smile behind the eyes, it doesn't mean you put on a plastic smile. So the point is, you're going to do some vocal work. It helps if the musculature of the head, neck and face is all released, not scowling, not frowning, not expressing your resentment that life has treated you so unfairly. So instead of that, it's a smile of genuine amusement. Okay, so it's not any kind of smile that you force. It's because you see the funny side. Nothing wrong with it being black humour. It can be a kind of a wry inward smile. But the point is, in order for the whole vocal mechanism to be in its ideal condition for making a sound, you don't want it to be unconsciously in the grip of tightness. So Alexander's positive direction for that was think of something funny to bring a smile behind the eyes. So so that raises the question then, okay, so you practice and practice and practice the whispered R. Does that make you a person with a good sense of humour, let's say? If you practice thinking something funny, thinking something funny, does that change who you are? If you practice like, does it cause you to be a less resentful person? It's a good question. And so this verse, in a sense, goes to that question. Tad eva gamanaṁ, the going itself. Tad eva gamanaṁ, the going itself. So in this case, the going is the whispered R. Gantā sa eva, the goer himself. In this case, that's me, the practitioner who's doing the whispered R. Sa, so tad eva sa eva hi bhaved yadi. For if they were one and the same, if that itself was him himself. Ekī-bhāvaḥ, so eki means is from ekat, one, and bhava means existence or existing thing. So ekī-bhāvaḥ, existing as one thing or being one thing, identity. Prasajyeta, it would follow, optative. Optative of prasaj, to follow as a consequence. So the identity would follow of agent, kartuḥ, that's genitive of kartra, the doer, the actor, the agent. In other words, the person who's practicing the whispered R. And karmaṇa, genitive singular of karmaṇ, action. So the identity would follow of agent and action itself. Ekī-bhāvaḥ prasajyeta kartuḥ karmaṇa evacha. So Nagarjuna's idea in the background is that agent and action itself are not identical. They're not the same. And if they were the same, for example, it would mean that if you committed a crime, you were forever a criminal. That would be shashvata drishti. So the crime would define you forever. And so consistent with that, I remember Marjorie Barlow telling me that when a teacher or a parent criticises a child or draws a child's attention to something that was naughty, it's really important that the parent or the teacher focuses on the action and not the essence of the child. You don't want to give a child an impression that it's inherently a bad child. You want to be clear why it was a bad thing to do, a bad action. So that's a good example of why it's not good for people to think that the agent and the action itself are identical. Tad eva gamanaṁ gantā sa eva hi bhaved yadi. Ekī-bhāvaḥ prasajyeta kartuḥ karmaṇa evacha. For if going and goer were one and the same, the identity would follow of agent and action itself. So that's the first side of the story. Does practicing whispered R make you a better person? This verse says no. But then the other side of the story follows in verse 20.
Yadeva gamanaṁ gantā sa eva hi bhaved yadi ekī-bhāvaḥ prasajyeta kartuḥ karmaṇa evacha.